lots of beeps, lots of chatter, lots of footsteps. You know, PwC staff is still on site working as hard as they can, ensuring that, you know, that they remain committed to the corporations and the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, especially when we're in post-budget mode. And it's important as well for citizens to understand where we were, where we are, and where we're going. So we're going to step back a little bit and talk about the budget of 2017. Now, Keith, it would have come to a surprise for many persons for all of these measures, taxes on taxes on taxes. We're seeing it all over social media. But in fact and in truth, these measures should not have come as a surprise to many persons, because the 2017 budget was very, very indicative of what was to come. So you can explain more.
Yeah, sure. And persons should not have been surprised at this year's budget.
Yes.
Because 2017, as you mentioned, we had a deficit budget. We had several expenditure cuts, with the minister trying to manage his expenditure in relation to his revenue numbers. So that coming into this 2018 budget, we knew that the pressures were still on the revenue, so that he'll have to find revenue from somewhere, because the oil and gas sector, on which we totally depend, is not delivering to him the levels of revenue that would put us in the place where we want to be. So that, you know, we came into from a deficit budget in 2017, where he had to find the revenue to meet his expenditure, into another deficit budget in 2018, and having to find that additional expenditure, which he got basically, or he plans to get, from the level of taxation that he has introduced.
Okay, and you know, it's very, very important to understand from a work-related perspective, especially in the context of public relations professionals or communications professionals, branding professionals, where if your craft is not well executed, you become a secondary vendor. You are no longer, we already struggle with an issue of not being seen as an indispensable tool for corporations and organizations to use at their advantage, or to their advantage rather. And that's definitely the negative side of experiencing a deficit in any budget, far less for on a national scale. So I think going to the basics and understanding the jargon and the terms, the lingo that we use within this fraternity is important for communications professionals to understand, and for the general public to understand as well, because then they become sensitized to the cause. They buy into the focus, and then collectively we can move forward and weather this tide together. So what are three key budget lingo or budget terminologies that persons should really become sensitive to in order to understand better the framework in which we operate now?
Yeah, well, I suppose I will start with the fiscal year. We hear about the fiscal year. We know what is the calendar year, which is January to December, but our fiscal year is actually October to September. So the government operates with an October to September financial year. So I will start there, and then, having established what the financial year is, I suppose we have heard a lot about deficits and budget deficits, and basically that would refer to a situation where your projected revenues are not at the level to meet your projected expenditures, and it would lead you to have to find ways and means of bridging the gap. And the gap can be bridged by borrowing, it can be bridged by selling assets, it can be bridged by raising taxes. So the minister has used all.
All of those resources.
Yeah, he plans to use all of those means in order to bridge the deficit. that exists.
And in terms of one other key term that we keep hearing, especially among small and micro enterprises, is foreign direct investment. What is foreign direct investment for those who may not be familiar with the term, and how does that impact communications professionals, both in the public and the private sector as well?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that was or ought to have been very key in this budget was the whole question of diversification, moving away from total dependence or too much dependence on oil and gas into other sectors. And in that regard, the minister ought to have done things to encourage foreign direct investment, FDI, which is really foreign investors coming into the country to invest, establish businesses, etc., in particular sectors that the ministry might, or the government might decide, okay, these are our focus areas and this is where we want to encourage foreign direct investment. Now, as far as how that impacts your profession and so on, some of your clients or some of your employers might in fact be these foreign companies. And I guess one of the things is that you find in a period of recession, a period of downturn, that perhaps one of the ways of managing expenditure tends to hit immediately at communications and marketing. We need to cut that particular budget so that foreign direct investment impacts your sector in the same manner, because you have to get your act together. That's not to say that it's not together currently, but you get more involved in delivering value for money, and I dare say even value for no money.
Yes. Because
your employers and your clients' products and services need to be out there. It's a period of time when you have to, it's a difficult proposition, a catch-22 you might say. How do we get more value when we have less money to spend?
And certainly when we are speaking about value for money, many of the communications practitioners in Trinidad and Tobago would have noticed the $50 million injection for the Planting Seeds initiative. How do you think we can maximize on that opportunity as communications practitioners to not only ensure that our industry remains robust and we remain anchored in the knowledge that we are of use and we are of value, but also how can we use that opportunity to propel the way forward for the budget, so that hopefully for the budget reading 2019, those measures may not be as harsh and we would have helped the economy to a space and a place where everyone can benefit? Yeah,
well, that initiative that you speak of actually encourages some initiative. So I know that your communications and public relations persons are very innovative persons.
Yes.
So that perhaps coming up with projects that are new and can sell would be one way of cashing in, because it's an opportunity for new businesses. It's an opportunity for innovation, which is what the country needs at this point in time, that we need something new, something fresh, something that could help take us out of the situation that we find ourselves in, so that you can push the innovations and the new ideas of your companies, or whether you have such new ideas and innovative issues yourselves, that you can present and perhaps get the funding to take the project forward.
And definitely that information becomes of immense value for private practitioners that may work for corporations, whether they are just locally based, whether they are anchored internationally. But in terms of changing gears a little bit and looking at government workers, government communications workers who might be looking to the Vision 2030 initiative to ensure that we keep in line with the growth and development that the ministries and the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago have mapped out for citizens of this country. That can be of benefit to us as well, yes?
Yeah, absolutely. And perhaps one of the areas, and we have heard the government, by way of the Prime Minister, I think, saying that the government has not been vocal enough in terms of what it has been doing. And therefore, it has been doing things, it says, very quietly. So that appears to me to be an opportunity for the public relations people,
yes,
to drive the communications and the dissemination of information out to the national public in order to let the country know what is happening, because those practitioners who are in ministries, they will be fully aware of what's happening. And barring perhaps the bureaucracy and so on, I think that they need to really, they have an opportunity to really help the state in terms of getting the message out on those initiatives, maybe even some of those in this budget that are very positive initiatives that people can take advantage of.
Take advantage of and also become leaders, as we're discussing the leadership series from the Public Relations Association of Trinidad and Tobago. And as soon as we get back, we're going to get down into those questions. So just stay tuned and we will be back shortly.